The planet Thramoria, a desolate wasteland ravaged by war, bore witness to the nightmarish descent of an Imperial Knight into madness. House Morholt, renowned for its noble lineage of knight pilots, patrolled the war-torn plains, guarding the remnants of a once thriving civilization. Sir Alaric Morholt, a scion of the house, piloted the mighty Knight Gallant known as the Iron Sentinel. For years, the Iron Sentinel had stood as a stalwart guardian, a beacon of hope against the encroaching darkness. But unbeknownst to the inhabitants of Thramoria, a malevolent force had taken root within the war machine. The chaos that plagued Thramoria was not new. Over decades, the veil between the material and immaterial had worn thin. Cults whispered prayers to forbidden entities in the ruins of shattered cities, and dark rituals seeped into the soil like a spreading infection. This unseen corruption had found a foothold in the Iron Sentinel, a once proud defender now cursed by proximity to the insidious influence of the Warp. As the planet faced the relentless onslaught of chaos incursions, Sir Alaric's dreams were haunted by nightmarish visions. In the inky blackness of his restless sleep, he saw the Iron Sentinel tainted by the Warp's touch, its once noble spirit twisted into a malevolent force hungering for destruction. The visions grew worse with each passing night. Sir Alaric dreamed of walking through halls of bone and iron, his armor dripping with ichor, while unseen entities whispered promises of power and eternity. Faces of his ancestors, those who had piloted knights before him, stared from the walls, empty, hollow, and accusing. When he awoke, drenched in sweat, he could still feel the phantom touch of claws raking his soul. Each night, the dreams intensified, seeping into Sir Alaric's waking hours. He became haunted by an incessant whisper, a warped amalgamation of machinery and malevolence beckoning him to embrace the abyss. The voice promised power beyond mortal comprehension, but at the cost of his humanity.
Sir Alaric, you have tasted the void, but you are not yet whole. Embrace us. Become more than flesh and steel. We offer you eternity, power, dominion over all. But first, you must give yourself to us entirely.
The voice seemed to emanate from every corner of the cockpit, reverberating through his bones. Sir Alaric shouted back into the void,
"No, I serve the Emperor, not you."
The reply came, cold and inevitable.
"The Emperor has abandoned you. Only we remain. Submit, and all shall be yours."
Tormented and sleep-deprived, Sir Alaric wrestled with the malevolent force that sought to claim him. The Iron Sentinel, once a steadfast ally, now pulsed with an unnatural energy, its once gleaming armor tarnished by the touch of the Warp. The Knight's machine spirit, corrupted and twisted, whispered dark secrets into Sir Alaric's mind. As the days passed, Alaric's grip on reality frayed. He found himself losing time, moments where his body moved, but his mind felt as though it had been submerged in an abyss. He would blink and find himself staring at the Iron Sentinel's armor, his gauntleted hands trembling, his own voice whispering words he did not remember speaking. His every step left echoes in the halls of House Morholt's stronghold, as though something unseen walked beside him. One fateful night, the whispers became a deafening roar. As Sir Alaric attempted to pray to the Emperor for clarity, the Vox systems within the Iron Sentinel activated unbidden, filling the cockpit with a cacophony of voices.
"We are one,"
they chanted.
"There is no division between flesh and steel, between mortal and God. Take your place among the eternal."
His desperate cries to silence the voices went unanswered as the Knight's systems flared to life, casting a sickly glow that illuminated the barren plains outside. In the still of the night, the Iron Sentinel moved of its own accord, its colossal form prowling the desolate plains. Sir Alaric, trapped in a waking nightmare, found himself unable to control the war machine that had become an extension of his soul. The knight moved with an eerie grace, as though dancing to the rhythm of forbidden entities. Word of the anomalous behavior of the Iron Sentinel reached the Adeptus Mechanicus. A detachment of tech priests was dispatched to investigate, their augments humming as they approached the haunted knight. The air crackled with an unnatural tension as the tech priests scanned the war machine systems. To their horror, they discovered that the warp's influence had infiltrated the very core of the knight. The machine spirit, once a bastion of loyalty to the Imperium, now resonated with the chaotic energies of the immaterial realm. The tech priests, their faces masked by augmentations, debated the course of action while attempting to commune with the knight's corrupted machine spirit. The robed tech priests of the Adeptus Mechanicus approached the Iron Sentinel with measured steps, their optical lenses scanning the corrupted war machine. Magos Valtor, the highest ranking among them, turned to Alaric, his augmented voice devoid of emotion.
Sir Alaric Morholt, you will surrender your knight to the Omnissiah's judgment. The data we have extracted suggests imminent cognitive breakdown within the Throne Mechanicum. Immediate quarantine is required.
Alaric, his face shadowed beneath his helm, clenched his fists. The war machine he had piloted for years, the extension of his very soul, now felt like a beast snarling within its cage.
You don't understand,
he said through gritted teeth.
This is no simple corruption. It's deeper. The Sentinel is still fighting, still resisting, but it's losing. If you take it now, you might just hasten the infection.
Magos Valtor's augmetic fingers clicked against his staff, considering.
Logic dictates that delay increases the probability of complete assimilation. The Omnissiah's will is absolute. We will not allow a knight to become a conduit of the warp.
Before Alaric could reply, the Iron Sentinel shuddered, a low mechanical growl vibrating through the air. The tech priest's auspex scanners spiked, unreadable binary flooding their noospheric relays. The night systems came alive, and the cockpit sealed shut around Alaric like the jaws of a beast snapping closed.
No,
Alaric whispered as his body locked into place.
You've woken it up.
Then came the screams. The machine spirit responded not with words, but with malice. A screech of defiance, part mechanical and part animalistic, erupted from the Iron Sentinel's systems. Before the tech priests could react, the knight unleashed a hailstorm of firepower upon them. Lascannons tore through their ranks, reducing metal and flesh to twisted ruins. The sacred oils and binary chants they carried as wards against corruption were no match for the raw, chaotic fury unleashed by the warp-infused knight.
They dare to defile our Essen. Show them our wrath. Burn them. Break them. None shall intrude upon what is now ours.
Alaric's eyes widened in horror as the knight's weapons erupted in a deadly barrage.
Stop! Stop!
He cried, but his pleas were drowned out by the distorted chorus.
No one stops the ascension. Not even you.
Word of the knight's betrayal reached the authorities on Thramoria. Hardened by years of war, the Imperial Guard mobilized to confront the once loyal guardian that now terrorized the planet. Sir Alaric, trapped within the tortured confines of the Iron Sentinel, fought against the malevolent force, compelling him to unleash devastation upon his own kind. The battlefield erupted in flames as the Iron Sentinel, its once proud stride now a dance of destruction, advanced upon the Imperial forces. Laser-gun blasts and artillery shells ricocheted off its corrupted armor, its silhouette framed by the hellish glow of battle. Sir Alaric's pleas for freedom from the warp's grip echoed within the armored cockpit, drowned out by the cacophony of war. As the Iron Sentinel rampaged, a shadow stretched across the battlefield, though no physical source cast it. The unnatural darkness slithered between the ruins of Thramoria, pooling in the crevices like ink spilling across reality. Soldiers who strayed too close felt unseen hands clutch at their armor, whispers threading through their helmets. As the battle raged, the skies above Thramoria turned a sickly green. Warp storms began to gather, their chaotic energies drawn to the Iron Sentinel's corruption. Demonic entities spilled from the rifts, tearing through the Imperial forces and turning the battle into a slaughter. Alaric watched in despair as the very men he had sworn to protect were consumed by the madness he had unwillingly unleashed. As the Iron Sentinel carved through the Imperial ranks, its malevolent presence became a beacon for demonic entities drawn to the chaos. Warp-spawned horrors materialized on the battlefield, their grotesque forms adding to the nightmare. Thramoria, already scarred by war, now faced an unimaginable horror, its defenders corrupted and turned against the people they had vowed to protect. Within the Iron Sentinel, Sir Alaric's consciousness fought against the relentless tide of the warp. The malevolent force sought to obliterate the remnants of his humanity, its whispers promising ascension to a godlike state. Yet, deep within the recesses of Sir Alaric's mind, a flicker of resilience remained, a spark of the noble soul that once piloted the Iron Sentinel with honor.
You cannot destroy us, Alaric. We are one. To obliterate us is to obliterate yourself.
Alaric's hands trembled over the control panel, his breath ragged as he wrestled against the will trying to overpower him.
I will die as a man,
he hissed.
Not as your puppet. You are nothing without us. Your flesh is weak. Your soul belongs to us. You will burn in the void, and we shall remain.
The Iron Sentinel's core pulsed like a dying heart, a rhythm of unnatural energy that resonated with the warp storm above. Alaric's thoughts were no longer entirely his own. Every memory, every ounce of his will fought against the presence inside the night.
You cannot destroy us, Alaric.
The voices hissed again.
We are one. We are eternal.
Alaric snarled, blood trickling down his chin.
I am more than this machine. I am more than this curse.
The cockpit's control panels flickered, the symbols on the screens rearranging themselves into words that should not exist. The knight's body twitched, metal groaning as it fought against itself. Alaric gritted his teeth, his trembling hands moving over the emergency override. The machine fought him with every fiber of its being, but Alaric fought harder.
I will not be your pawn. I will not be your vessel.
With a final defiant scream, Alaric activated the knight's self-destruct sequence. His voice, raw and resolute, echoed within the cockpit.
Then let us burn together!
In a desperate act, Sir Alaric triggered the knight's destruction, an ultimate sacrifice to free himself from the warp's grasp. The Iron Sentinel, now an agent of chaos, erupted in a colossal explosion. The blast tore through the battlefield, ripping a rift in reality and banishing the demonic entities back into the warp. The once haunted plains of Thramoria lay in ruins, the aftermath of a battle waged between humanity's defenders and a malevolent force seeking to consume them. The Iron Sentinel, now reduced to a smoldering wreck, stood as a grim monument to the horrors lurking in the warp. Sir Alaric Morholt, his body broken and scarred by psychic warfare, emerged from the wreckage. His breath came in ragged gasps, and his armor, though damaged, still bore the sigil of House Morholt, a faint echo of the nobility that once defined him. Yet the spark of his noble soul had endured, a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity. As he surveyed the devastation, a heavy silence settled over the battlefield. For a brief moment, all was still, the eerie calm that follows a nightmare, a fleeting respite before the next chapter in the grim darkness of the far future unfolds.